Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. It's time for NFL Rapid Fire Picks, so special wildcard edition. It's wildcard weekend in the NFL, and we've got a special promo code. The code is WILD for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Going down the line and hopefully picking some winners for these playoff games, and if not, at least some good information to base your bets on. We've got Craig Trapp with us to hopefully pick some winners. Craig, we're starting with the Colts at the Bills. The Bills are minus 6.5. The total has moved from 52 down to 51. The Colts are 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 games as an underdog, and the Bills are 8-0 against the spread in their last 8. So what do you make of those trends, and who do you like in this one?
Well, not only are they 8-0 in their last 8, they're 6-2 at home on the year against the spread. I mean, 7-1 straight up. I mean, this is a very good team against the number, especially at home. I think the Bills team is clearly going to win this game, but man, this just looks like a trap line because it's off that key number of 7. So I'm looking at a total here. I just think the Bills, their offense has just been mowing people down. I mean, they can just put up in bunches, but they do give up their fair share of points. So I kind of think the over is going to be a good play here. I think the Colts know if they're going to beat the Bills, they're going to have to score some points. I think they're going to have to open the offense up a little. And I like the over 51 in this one.
I'm going back and forth between taking the Bills just straight up with the spread or taking an over just because this Bills team scores a lot, but they also give up a lot of points. And it's also a run defense that definitely can be taken advantage of. And you see this Colts team with Jonathan Taylor, who has been really good as of late. So I think he's going to have a big day. But I still think I like the Bills the best. That offense cannot be stopped. And Josh Allen has been really good against the number in his career. I'm taking the Bills minus 6.5. Next up, we've got the Rams and the Seahawks. Seahawks are minus 3.5. It's 42.5 for the total, a really low one between these division rivals. Craig, who do you like?
Well, I love when you have that team playing the third time because these teams know each other so well, playing each other every year twice. Now they get the third time. You know, Cooper Kupp's going to be back. It sounds like Goff's going to at least give it a go, even though McVay won't say that he's going to be the starter. Seattle's defense really changed after they got that blowout loss on the road at Buffalo. They started to play better on defense. I think the under is the play here. I think you haven't seen any movement. I kind of thought we'd start to see this creep up, maybe go up to 43 and a half. We haven't seen, so I think the under is the play here. I also think as long as you can get it at 3.5, I think Seattle's a solid play on the side. I just think Russell Wilson is going to be money, and he'll need to be because that great rush or pass rush of the Rams will make him get out of the pocket a bunch of it.
Yeah, I think the defenses are going to be taking center stage in this one. As you mentioned, the Seattle defense has been much improved as of late, giving up an average of just 14 points over their last 6 after being really bad to start the season. And then you've got defensive playmakers all over the field when it comes to the Rams, and you just can't ignore some of these trends. The Seahawks have hit the under in 7 of their last 8. The under has hit in the last 3 head-to-head meetings, and it's 12-4 to the under when you talk about the Rams overall. So I'm taking the under as well. Moving on to the Bucks and Washington. This opened as Bucks minus 7.5. Now it's up to 8.5. The total has dropped a whole 1.5 down from 46.5 to 45. Craig, what's the play?
Well, I hear the Bucks already have a huge liability if the Bucks win it all this year, and also if they win this week. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist and think games are fixed or anything like that. Obviously, I wouldn't do what I do if I did that. But I do think this is one of those spots that, you know, it's an ugly game. Washington has one thing that always gives Brady trouble, and that's when you can make him step up in the pocket and feel that pressure. He's never been quite the same quarterback when you get it. Most teams haven't been able to do that. I think Washington has enough pass rush to do that. I think Washington plus the points here. I would wait to bet this because I see so much money coming in on Tampa. I could see this moving to at least 9, but I'll take the 8.5 as it is now.
I am going for another under, even though I hate myself for doing it. It just looks like Washington has been the play for unders this season. The hottest team to the under this season, 5-10-1 when it comes to the under, 5 straight unders, and all of those totals were 43.5 or lower, so they weren't high totals. And then you've got this defensive front four going against Tom Brady. I think they'll be able to get some pressure on him. I think Tom's still going to have a decent game here, but enough to keep it under the total. And then Ravens Titans. The Titans are plus 3.5, so the Ravens are minus 3.5. Excuse me. Total has moved up a half point to 55. Craig, who do you like?
Well, this is a little revenge spot for Baltimore. Remember, they were knocked out by Tennessee last year in the second round of the playoffs. Tennessee knocked off New England. Then they went to Baltimore, both as an underdog. And then they were up big before Kansas City Chiefs, of course, came back and beat them and covered. I like the over here. This Tennessee team's been the overtrain all year. I don't see much slowing down. Their defense is absolutely terrible. For Mike Vrabel, he's got a defensive guy. He's got to be scratching his head like, how did I turn up with this bad a defense? But it's just the case he is. Luckily, he has a good offense that's been able to keep him in most games. It's hard to imagine a team being this bad on defense that's 11-5, but that's the case. I like the Titans and the over in this one. If you said which team I had to pick, I would take the Titans because I do think it's going to be about a field goal game. But I think the much better play on the over.
Yeah, especially at 3.5, it's really tempting to take the Titans, but I am on the over as well. The Titans are the hottest team to the over in all of football. Last meeting between these two was 30-24 in overtime, and Derrick Henry rushed for 133 yards on the ground. This Titans secondary has not gotten any better. I think this is a good spot for Lamar Jackson to put up some points. Mark Andrews, the tight end from the Ravens, actually had close to 100 yards receiving last game. Give me the over when it comes to the Titans. Next up, we've got the Bears and the Saints. Saints minus 10, up from 9.5. The total is down to 47 from 48. Who do you like when it comes to this spread? Ugh.
It's hard to like the Bears. I mean, the Bears, they did get a few wins there, enough to get in the playoffs, but those wins were against some of the worst teams in the league. And then the Saints, it sounds like Michael Thomas will be back in this one. And, their defense is so good. And then you have to go to New Orleans in the Dome where they're just really tough. I think, I know Wildcard Weekend is all about the underdogs usually. They've done really well the last 4 or 5 years. But I think this is the one favorite that absolutely just drills them. I think the Bears get beat by, 20, 21 points here.
I think the funniest thing is that Sean Payton said he wanted to quarantine 50,000 Saints fans so they could have a home field advantage. I don't see that happening. I think the Saints are going to win big here, but I like the under the most just because the Bears' offense has looked good, but it's been against the worst defenses in the league. The Lions, I think it was the Texans, and even the Titans. So I don't see that happening against the Saints defense that's ranked first in defensive efficiency. Give me another under. Oof. Moving on to the Browns and the Steelers. This one has had the most line movement of all the games so far. Steelers are minus 6 now. The total is 47.5. Of course, with COVID issues for the Browns. Their head coach has COVID or is quarantining or something. 2 players in quarantine or protocol. Basically, it's an uphill battle for the Browns. Who do you like?
Yeah, and the facility was closed most of the week, so a really tough spot. Division game. We've seen these teams; they don't like each other. Let's remember last year the helmet hit. I just think if you look at this game, I'm staying away for obvious reasons. I just think it's a tough call. I think the Browns are live dogs, but I think the way I would play it is I would play a teaser. I wouldn't play the side or the total. I'd play a teaser, and I would tease it down. Pittsburgh even money, and then I would take the under. So that would be under 53.5. That's the way I would play this game if I'm betting it myself, which I will be, but I'm not going to play the side or the total in this game.
I have no desire to make a pick on this one. I just, oh my goodness. I think the public's going to jump on the Steelers here just because, as you saw, they made it a close game against the Browns without most of their starters. So I would lean towards the Steelers, but definitely not my favorite play of the week. But that's going to do it for our rapid fire NFL picks here on Picks and Parlays. Great stuff from Craig Trapp. As always, thanks for tuning in and best of luck.